Good afternoon and welcome. It is 5 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time, which means it is happy hour. We are off the clock and on to something way better. My name is Rob. I am one of your two hosts. I stream under the nickname Lantern Noir, and I am joined by my usual amazing co-host,
Graybeard Stavern. It's my halfway to 104th birthday.
Congratulations. That's right, because your birthday coincides with Star Wars Day.
Exactly.
We've had this conversation. We have had this conversation, which is also why, despite all of the conversation we've had on Twitter about what we were going to be doing today, we have completely ditched it for something different.
Yeah. Well, it's so it is my Star Wars D&D anniversary. I went to see Star Wars: A New Hope when I was 8 years old, 1977. My parents had just gotten divorced, and my aunt took me to see Star Wars. The line was out the door, around the block, across the other block, and up across a drawbridge in the middle of our town. That's how long the line was.
Jeez.
Yeah, and she had my hand, and we were going along because, like I said, I was like 7, 8 years old, and she just kept hopping from friend to friend until we got close
one of those
enough.
people.
We got close enough to get in on opening night. When she finally got close enough to a friend where she's like, "Oh, hey, blah blah blah," Boink! and got me in to see Star Wars opening night. And then later that weekend, I played D&D with a friend of mine who was 2 years older than me, who was friends because of playing soccer with someone who was 2 years older than them, and then their brother was 4 years older than them. So their brother was like 16, and I was like 8. And Mark had played D&D the year before with Gary Gygax.
Oh, wow.
In Wisconsin, 1976, Gen Con in Wisconsin. My DM played with Gary Gygax, and that's how he found out about D&D. So, yeah, 44 years ago, which is great because, like I said, birthday, Star Wars Day, D&D, all that same weekend. So I always just call it my Star Wars D&D versary. So
that is a collection of awesomeness.
Yes, total that is a defining moment in my complete nerddom, I would say, was that with the convergence of all that stuff to.
Well, all those passions converging on one. I keep doing the math, and I somewhere we remember my dad taking me to see it.
Yeah.
But at this point in 1977, I'm 2.5. And there's part like I don't think I saw it for like a year.
Yeah.
Which, granted, in 77 was one of those. Oh yeah, we still have it showing on a screen back there because the only way to keep making money on it is to keep putting it on a screen somewhere.
Yeah,
but he definitely got me into it, and I think a lot of my first round of toys came from my dad going, "Check this out, there are toys for this," and I happen to have a 3-year-old who can play with them. So, because I definitely had all of the toys. Oh yeah.
The TIE Fighter. This is actually a second run of the TIE Fighter. The wings still shoot off.
Nice.
If I can get it open, my pilot is in there.
Oh yeah.
You can't see him, it's too dark, but with his gun. I still have the gun.
Okay, before we go down this road, let's do our housekeeping. Let's do our housekeeping.
Okay, housekeeping.
How has your week of gaming been?
My week of gaming was pretty non-existent.
Oh.
My indoor was on vacation. my brother was on a camping trip, so he was in the middle of nowhere. And so we didn't play with the Grognards. Sunday morning, we got together and played, did Griftlands. We thought for sure it was going to be the last episode with the horrible Mr. Smith alien.
But no.
But no, it's I forgot that he has 3 siblings, and this was like chapter 1 dealing with the first sibling. And he ended up marrying his sibling off to a movie star, but then I chose not to murder my own brother. That's how horrible a character this character is. So we've got maybe a couple more weeks of Griftlands, and then my UK group could not get together. So yeah, it was pretty.
It was a quiet week.
Pretty bleak on the gaming front. So.
Ouch. Well, it's interesting you mentioned the killing the brother, because in my Wednesday night game, they are currently on a mission to kill Jansen's, the monks, personal demons. Because for whatever reason in the domain of dread they've wandered into, their demons are actively like manifested and therefore, in theory, can be killed.
Nice.
But because of that, they're also now infecting the rest of the party. So at one point in the evening last week, they came across bounty hunters who were there to kill one of the party, because no one knew in the party realized that she had been, accused of murder she actually committed. And the bounty hunters were also the brother of one of the party members.
No.
So
Okay.
Sho had to make a decision. Do I attack my own brother to defend my new friend, or do I hand my friend over, who was guilty of murder and has admitted it,
right,
to be killed by my brother?
Oh my goodness.
I know.
So the brother is not only the bounty hunter, but he's like, Judge Dredd, jury executioner.
Oh yeah, she's not wanted alive. She's wanted dead.
Oh, okay.
So that was, it's a domain of dread where demons do bad things to you, but that's actually how the evening ended. Was the aftermath of the battle of them all going, oh crap, which they figured out it was the demons getting to them, but there's still when push came to shove, I attacked my own brother. So that was a great pressure point. And then my Sunday night D&D game, my Ravenloft game, is now full into the true Curse of Strahd part. They're out of Barovia. They're over the mountain. They skipped the old bone grinder. They've rescued the Vistani girl, Arabelle, which is a reminder that I have to keep working on my Slavic accent, because she sounded like she was from Germany, France, and the Ukraine all at the same time. So I have work ahead of me. But that was, it was a good night. I felt way better after last night than I did last week, or this week than last week. I felt like I really was on point with what I was trying to get done, and the players were going along with it, and the story was unfolding, and so I got hopefully we'll both have average weeks.
Yeah.
I'll stop sucking the fun out of everything for you.
We are supposed to be back and stuff. So with indoor adventures, we've only got a couple sessions left with heroes or masks, and we're going to switch to a game called City of Mists, and we're actually going to take our monthly campaign and make it a weekly campaign for a while, for maybe like 10 story arcs, so we can explore the City of Mists system. It's interesting mashup between like Fate and Powered by the Apocalypse. It's a really interesting fusion, which is kind of the way we wrote the Monster Noir we've been playing. And it was funny because we came up with that, and then I ended up playing in this one shot of City of Mists, and I went, oh, hey, we just made this game. So it was good, and we'll see how that goes. I have not been in the DM's seat for a campaign streamed, that is, in probably 5 years than in a weekly situation. So we'll see how it works. I mean, just like you were saying, you had your first session type thing. If 44 years in, and you still get that excitement and the jitters and the when it starts off, it's kind of like even any TV show. It has to kind of grind for a bit before the gears connect and zoom along. So
yeah, no, I totally get you. And in fact, there's a part of me that is looking forward to, in a couple of months, being able to say, you know what, I think it'd be cool if you DM'd for a while and I'll just man the stream. I'll play and do stream management, and you can be in charge of all the other stuff, because it's a balance. Although I did put it on I was putting it on my resume today.
Nice.
I'm applying for a job specifically with a virtual academy at a neighboring school district.
Yeah.
They haven't posted any positions yet, but I'm like, you know what? I know you have a virtual academy up and running. I want you to know I have this particular skill set I've been developing. I would love to come work for you.
Mm-hmm.
And at my point in the career, I don't need the salary nearly as much as I need the year of service towards my retirement, because I've had my best 3 years of income at this point.
Nice.
There were 3 years, a couple years back, that were the highest I was ever going to make. So my pensions are pretty much locked in unless something radical happens in the next couple of years.
Dodge that.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? We're coming out of a once in a century pandemic. So anything is possible. And Aaron here, welcome to our live audience. We're always happy to have live people hanging out with us when we podcast, because it's even more fun, which also leads me to the last bit of news that I need to start writing a pre-show script, because I always forget to mention it at the beginning of the podcast, but we are proud partners with the Inverse Genius network of podcasts and streaming content. You will be able to hear that on an upcoming episode of On Board Games, hosted by Eric Dewey and Donald Dennis. And we had a chance to talk about streaming gaming, and they invited me formally into the Inverse Genius family, which now the umbrella over which now includes Happy Hour at the Old Timer Tavern.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's kind of another fun, exciting thing that happened this weekend. It was a little weird being on somebody else's podcast, where I just had to show up and talk for a while and not think about, when am I going to master this? Are we going to make the deadlines? Do we want to post it Thursday night or Friday morning? And all that other great stuff. But the Inverse Genius people are amazing. They On Board Games is a great podcast if you're into board gaming. They also do regular, like, just geek content. They have a show they put out every 2 weeks called Fortnightly. And it's just talk geek.
Right.
There's off and on, I think monthly, they produce on role-playing games, which is just a chance to talk about what's new in the role-playing game scene.
That's awesome.
They're good peeps. They're really, really good peeps. So that was my weekend, and then your weekend, and now I think we're on to the topic du jour, which is the first time we have not had the D&D logo up. We are not in the D&D category today. We are in the podcasts and talk shows category. Because I felt really bad putting up the D&D one, since we're not even like D&D adjacent today.
Right. Yeah. So real quick, did not talk about my actual day. So
you were talking about why you've already drained 2/3 of your glass, and I just got mine from the waitress.
Yeah. So it's coffee, Kahlua, Bailey's, and
power combo.
Some peppermint coffee, non-dairy coffee creamer. Anyway, so my day started. I had to go to work. There was a meeting with a tech specialist, and I had to go. And so, okay, great. Got to the stoplight in the main street, literally on Main Street of the small town near the village, shall we say, that I live by. And the light turned green, and my car went punk, tunk, chunk, tunk, flop, done. It died in the intersection in the middle of town at what is rush hour in my tiny little town. and I had to wait until a police officer came to help me push my car off the road out of the intersection.
Ooh.
Oh, so bad. So then waiting for a tow truck. It's 80 some degrees out already. And I was waiting for the tow truck, and everything. It just was a rough morning. They believe that I broke an axle, that the axle just
gave out.
Yep, just was done. And yeah, so happy birthday.
Well, okay, now think of it this way. This might be the universe telling you that for your birthday you should buy yourself a new car.
Maybe I just I'll just reach into the money. Oh wait, there's no money to reach in. Yeah, so the it was funny, and it was bad. And then as I was sitting there, it pops up on my phone, the tech that I'm supposed to meet for this meeting, blah, 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 cannot make it, cancels the meeting. I immediately vie with my boss because I sent him a picture of my hazards blinking and me on the side of the road. And because we've known each other now for 20 years. And so I sent him the picture and I'm like, hey, since the meeting's canceled and I'm still waiting on a tow truck, maybe I should take today off. And so he's like, yes, you should.
Yes, you should.
So,
yeah. Well, that'll definitely get you into the bar early.
Yes, it
as
will.
It were. Well, that's not great.
No.
So I'm sorry that happened to you, man.
Yeah, well, I spent the day digitally fishing on a computer and dodging yard work and stuff. So it was brutal and tough. I don't know how I survived.
Okay, digitally fishing. What game were you using?
Oh, Cryofall. In Cryofall, it's a space survival game. You've crashed on an alien planet, blah blah. And one of the ways you can survive is by fishing. And so,
as one does.
Friend of mine in the faction, he keeps making bait. It's really hard. Fishing is hard in the game because it's hard to start getting bait to continue to get fish to turn into bait but you can use alien brains to make bait, and he's been saving us from the Xenos and turning it all into bait for me. So I go by his little homestead and he's got an ice box full of alien brain bait for me to go fishing with.
And there you go. Yeah, Aaron here just said that that you made him buy the game and he hasn't had a chance to try it yet. Cryofall. That sounds. I mean, I'm usually open to the survival genre, but I'll be honest. I'm so burned out on trying to make myself like Mass Effect 1 that I think I'm going to go all the way back to Planet Coaster for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Just to kind of get back into the groove.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to might be working on a theme park built around all my favorite streamers.
Oh, neat.
So like people might have their own, maybe a restaurant or a particular thrill ride. I haven't decided yet what I'm going to do with like the Raven Armed because he's so, he's very Jack Sparrow, but I feel like there needs to be more than just a Jack Sparrow ride.
Yeah.
But I've got some ideas, but I might do that for a couple weeks while I wait for another game to come up that I demoed this weekend.
Ooh.
Or maybe I should just play more Star Wars.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. Speaking of, so we started off talking about all of our history here, and we have let's open with a question from the chat.
Oh, sure.
Rather than diving on the history, we have a question from Persiog91. What do we think about the Mandalorian? And indeed, thank you for coming to us from Brazil. It is great to have you up here. I had an amazing exchange student from Brazil my second year of teaching.
Nice.
Back in the pre-auto translate days where I had to like find somebody who would help me put all of the tests in Portuguese because he spoke no English.
Oh goodness.
Yeah, but it's physics. That's like mostly math. He'll be fine, right?
Right.
So what do we think of the Mandalorian? I'll let you go first.
So I love there's a show out of Japan, Aichi. It's the blind masseur, and it was like the longest running show in Japanese history, type thing. And he's he's got a cane, and of course the cane is swing, his sword. And so I love that kind of show. And Kurosawa's my favorite, and I love Seven Samurai and all that. And all the spaghetti westerns I grew up watching, because that was about the only TV me and my dad could settle on, were those like spaghetti westerns. And so I adore The Mandalorian, because it is Lone Wolf and Cub. It's the graphic novel series Lone Wolf and Cub in the Star Wars universe.
Well, and it hits all of those, in my opinion. It hits all the tropes and plot elements that made the era of the American Western. So I'm thinking the stuff my dad grew up on, the Gunsmoke, the Rifleman, all those, a Bonanza, and made them great stories. Mm-hmm. And it just brings them up into with that Star Wars veneer, so that you have the mystique of it a bit, but you still have all those elements that are really kind of a universal. Yeah. Like, you can't get more universal than caring for something that's helpless,
yes,
and innocent.
Oh,
and I think it really did a nice job of setting a stage for Disney, which they're leaning heavy on now. Of, we can be very viable just selling our streaming service by making really good content on it, where you don't subscribe because, well, it's the only way for me to see that one movie that's been, it's finally made its way into streaming. Now I'll just pay this month. It's like, this is worth the bucks every year.
Yeah, I mean, particularly with you got the Marvel umbrella under it now and stuff. So yeah, it's just amazing. I mean, the little bamboo reed kind of thing going on and stuff, and all that samurai gunslinger tension and everything. It's just fantastic. The guest stars they've had on, Timothy Oliphant, as like, is he Boba Fett? Oh my God, no, it's Boba Fett's armor, but it just that, and that there was so good.
That was so good.
The episode with Ahsoka, and it's just fog out over the wall, over the wall, and the guards on thing, and then the lightsabers come on, and in the fog and the mystery, and so good.
Absolutely. And then Aaron here adds in that there are so many good spaghetti westerns. Many of the modern anti-hero tropes originate there, and I think that's true. I mean, you look at the storytelling. One of the ones I grew up on, just to go down the Western road, that I was one of the first Westerns I really watched all the way through as a kid, was Cat Ballou, the Queen of the Outlaws. And that was one that I got my first touch of like what a Western could be in a comedy genre. Yeah. And then, because we have it in the dashboard, this is the sound you were looking for.
I can't hear it.
Yeah, the classic.
It's
the theme from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. On my sound alerts board, I call it the Tumbleweed Trill. Because if I said the theme from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, nobody would know what I was talking about.
I'm old.
But that's the thing too, is it really shows, I think it is an iconic sound. I think it shows how much Lucas, when he put forward the script for A New Hope, which is what came out 44 years ago, he knew out of the 4 stories somehow this was going to hit all of those elements of the spaghetti western, of the samurai drama, of this new science fiction thing that was like starting to kind of work its way back up again from its 1940s pulp roots.
Right.
Like, it was starting to make a comeback, and people trusted him. I mean, he put out American Graffiti, which performed very well in theaters. Yep. So people were like, okay, this Lucas guy can direct.
Yep.
He's doing this crazy thing, but it's Lucas. He just had a couple of pretty good films. Let's see what happens here. Let's give it a chance.
Oh.
and it really had a chance to kind of go. And I think that Jon Favreau's really, with Mandalorian, has shown, you can trust him to do really good things.
Yes, the so Star Wars has had some rough road. I don't know if are we far enough in we can go to some rough road, or should we continue the Mandalorian for a minute or two?
Well, I mean, we're going to be, trust me, however rough we're going to get, I'll bring us right back because I want to start talking about other stuff.
Okay. All right. I look forward to more Mandalorian. I hope that it goes there, and to see more content, Star Wars content come out. I said, because I've had friends who and I have been like down on the prequels and stuff, but like I say about Marvel movies, well, I don't need to say this anymore, but when Marvel movies first started, I used to say, but having any superhero movies is better than having no superhero movies. And I used to say having any Star Wars movies are better than no Star Wars movies. And now with the shows coming out, because Clone Wars was just, after the letdown of the prequels, the Clone Wars was such new life. Mm-hmm. It brought Star Wars. It made it so that me and my eldest could bond over Star Wars. We literally could watch the show together, and the show was not just a kid's show. The Clone Wars was definitely a series that you could watch as an adult, and then it grew with my daughter. So they never threw punches. They killed people. There was murder and story, and things had consequences, and it was not written for little kids. So that was fantastic.
I regret never getting into the Clone Wars. I've watched some of them. I think we've gotten through into season 2 in our house, because it's one of those where the younger one, Kitty K, is very up and down about things. One day she's totally into a thing, and then you're like, oh cool, we can binge this as a family, and then like 2 days later she's like, nope. Nope, veto power. I don't want to watch that. Let's do something different.
My youngest, same thing.
Yeah.
She gave up on the Mandalorian before Ahsoka showed up. And so me and the oldest continued on with the series, So
Yep. Oh, and I think what's neat when you look at Marvel movies parallel to Star Wars. I mean, I'll admit too, I enjoyed the fact that I could go see a Star Wars movie when we had the prequels.
Yeah.
By the end of the prequels, I was in the these weren't very well done, was my thought process. And I often refer to what I call the Peter Jackson syndrome.
Right.
Because I may have mentioned this before, which is you get big and people have a hard time telling you maybe this isn't a good idea.
Right.
And I first coined it after seeing the movie King Kong that Peter Jackson did, which was one of his first major projects after Lord of the Rings. Yeah. And there were sections where I'm like, I don't even know what I'm watching here. And I think the only reason was the ice skating with the ape in Central Park. And I'm like, this is just bizarre.
I somehow have blacked that out.
Yeah, there's a scene where he and the girl are sliding around Central Park on the ice.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is just weird. This is not entertaining. This is just weird. But I keep thinking, how do you tell Peter Jackson, the guy who put Lord of the Rings on the big screen, this is a bad idea? And I think George Lucas kind of, and J.K. Rowling's too, with the editing for the last book, which I think was 150 pages too long. How do you tell these big names, are you sure you want to do that? Because I can see it being really easy to go, excuse me, I'll tell you why, because I'm George Lucas, that's why.
Yes. You there, the big guy, I don't care what you do, punch him in the face, and then he's fired.
But all the joking aside, we've hit a spot now where You can say you're into Star Wars, and if someone goes, "Oh yeah, what's the best part of the prequel third movie?" You can go, "None of it. The movie wasn't that good." And they'll go, "Well, then you're not really into it," because like there's so much to be into. There's room within the fandom to go, "That was one of the lesser projects. I wasn't feeling it."
Yep. Yeah, you can definitely. So, I forgot to grab something, which I'm gonna grab since we're on the prequels. So, when put it this way, when they digitally remastered Star Wars, right? I was at the nearing the height of my food and beverage director career. I had, I used to work 80, 90 hours a week, put 1,000 miles on my car. I had like 8 restaurants all over the state and stuff. And I took a day off to see the opening 10 a.m. digitally remastered Star Wars, thinking there's no way there's not going to be a line. And then getting to the theater at 10 a.m. and like there's like 4 cars in the thing, just it broke my heart. It broke my heart. I was like, who doesn't? This is Star Wars opening again. Get there, and so I enjoyed the digitally remastered Star Wars opening. I have been to all but 2 of opening days for Star Wars movies. Only 2 of all the Star Wars movies have I not been there for opening day. That was the second and the third prequel. I did not go to see them the opening night.
I think we can forgive that. I can forgive that. There are some. My younger cousin, his first Star Wars experience in the theater was the prequels. That was where he came in, and to him, those are the real Star Wars. My brother-in-law benchmarks his home theater with Episode 2's opening fight scene. That's what he uses to benchmark his surround sound, his audio quality, because he knows what it should be like, and he'll watch it 10, 15 times over and over again when he's just redone his house, because he wants a chance to go in and do that. Now the contrast. Well, when the remaster happened, I went and bought the new VHS. So happy. Then I noticed that there were some story changes that do kind of give you the heart, the pains. I have a thought on that. But first,
I can still hear you. I'm going to grab something.
Okay, I saw when I saw the remastered reopenings, we went out at that evening. We saw it, and we were in a college town, and I think it's the first time I've ever seen a crowd in a theater applaud during the opening credits. And by the time we get to the take the shot, kid, you're all clear, kid, take the shot, let's blow this thing. It's like people were cheering for him. and it was just so much energy in the theater. It was really like wasn't typical for movies then. It slowly feels like it's becoming typical now.
Yeah.
Because I remember those moments the first time I saw Avengers Endgame.
Yeah.
And the on your left, and just nobody was quiet.
Right.
Like, I had to watch when I saw it the second time. I'm like, I'm paying attention for dialogue now, because the first time we were making too much noise, because we were all so excited to see this happening. It was moving out of that into that shared experience.
Yeah.
That you don't normally get when you go see a movie.
So for Phantom Menace, it was midnight. We were in line. My little buddy Amanda was dressed as Leia, Princess Hoth, Princess Leia.
So be clear, there were many Leias she could have dressed as.
Yeah, she was Hoth with the buns and the white and the little vest, the 80s puffy vest kind of thing.
That's a good costume.
Yeah, and Pat and James were Jedi, and we were all raring for it. And it when we were in the theater, because it was midnight and it was obvious fans, there were laser pointers and pew pew, little, laser guns and all this stuff. And someone actually came out in front and gave an announcement that, listen, if any shenanigans, kind of thing, I can't remember exactly how he said it, anything like that happens, we will stop the movie. And it was so funny because and rumble, 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 the crowd all going, the THX noise came up, and that theater, it was like a vacuum of space had opened up. It was so dead quiet. I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. We were all so excited. And even the first 10 or 15 minutes, it was like, oh, this is going to be like Saving Private Jedi, lightsabers, and, it's the Star Wars I've always wanted. And so much so that we were selling out of our car afterwards. We were all like, what just happened? What did we see? It was like the first 10 or 15 minutes was like a kung fu, lightsaber samurai robot battle, and then blam, Qui-Gon runs into Jar Jar Binks. It was just like, what is happening? Yeah. What is happening? So we literally had made boffer lightsabers.
Oh, nice.
And these are some of the originals that we had. We sold out. We were after the movie, it's like 2 a.m. and we're in the parking lot, boffer lightsaber fighting, and people are like, whoa, what are those? Because again, it was 1999. Yep. And we're like, oh, they're boffer lightsabers. We sold out. We sold a whole trunk full of these things. And it was so awesome. I mean, we had made, even though we really hated it, because we're sword people, we even made some dual-ended, Darth Maul lightsabers and everything. So it was funny. We sold all that out, and we were so excited about it. But we really, it had to sink in for a while for us. We just were like, okay, now I know how older Star Wars people felt about the Ewoks.
Yeah.
And that was kind of where we were at, because my little brother was little when Jedi came out, and I've always loved like fuzzy little people, so the Ewoks were my jam. I loved the Ewoks even way back then. As a matter of fact, my brother sent me a dancing Ewok GIF today for my birthday, so that's how much, anyway. But yeah, so like I said, we were able to go, that's really, that must be it. That must be how, people who were in their 20s or 30s and big Star Wars fans were felt when the Ewoks were, swinging on vines and stuff.
It's been postulated that Jar Jar Binks is now cool because the children that watched him are older. And the thing is, I think I actually consider Jar Jar not as heinous a crime as other elements of the prequels. I personally think that the running commentary of the pod race is much more something to look at and say that was a miscalculation. Yeah. But there's so much stuff that came out of the prequels that I think were good. I think seeing the Jedi without that veneer of perfection that is constantly being presented in the core trilogy is a good thing. I think it makes for good storytelling to say, look, there are some distinct downsides to this philosophy they've adopted. They are not perfect because we say they are. There's a lot of balancing when you have a religious order that has tenets that sometimes need examination and reflection upon. Like, how do we handle this?
Right.
And are we recruiting the best people when we recruit this way? And, how do we make this all work? Which I thought was really neat. In fact, when I became friends through LiveJournal back in the day with a group of people who do reproduction costuming. Now, they don't like the title, or they didn't like the title of cosplayer, because to them, well, here's I think how they differentiate it. They didn't do it to be in character and to walk around as someone. They do it because they really enjoy recreating the costumes from the films that they enjoy. So it's not about, I'm a big fan of this interesting period drama, I'm going to show my interest in the period drama by dressing in this clothes. It's, I reproduced the dress that was worn in Marie Antoinette in this scene at this time. But anyway, we became friends through LiveJournal, and one of our our last big hurrah before we had our eldest was to Dragon Con, and Jenny cosplayed as pregnant Amidala. So she had the brown that brown tunic with the pregnant. She was pregnant, so she had the real belly going on, and everything for it. And she said the best part was other people in costume would come up to her and go, "Oh my God, how'd you get your belly so real?" And not realizing that it wasn't costume, would just put their hands right on it, thinking it's a pad. And she's like, "That's because there's baby in there." And then the universal reaction of, "Oh, okay, sorry, space, sorry, I'm bad."
This looks so real. Poke.
Yeah. Wow, that beard's really like on there. And the great irony of it was she got no special treatment at the con. Like, none. Like, she stood in line with everybody else. She had to fight for chairs with everybody else. She had to wait 5 elevators with everybody else. 2 years later, we finally get to go to a convention again. And she pulls the costume out and makes an empathy belly for it. So she makes a little patty and she's wearing it. Felicia Day spots her waiting for the elevator. Says, "Oh, no. You're not waiting. You're pregnant. Come here." And before she can say a word, has dragged her in the elevator, and her handler has pushed the close button. So she got a private elevator ride with Felicia Day, who mistook her for actually being pregnant. Right. And that weekend, she had people put in chairs out for her. She got to cut in lines. Like, she got all the perks that she didn't get the first time through, which is the only way we left without feeling like terrible people.
Right.
But like, she's like, Saturday, she's like, I don't think I can wear this costume anymore. People keep treating me like I'm pregnant. I'm like, remember how they didn't treat you so great 2 years ago? This is karma.
Yeah, it's the karmic
wave.
The karmic twist. So
yeah, those were kind of neat. Okay, let's do it. Who shot first?
No, Han. It's said and done. That was such a point of contention that some of the essays and things that came out of that, because it was early, internet and online everything in the world, really did expound and make that great. It like Ear was saying, they bought the VHS of the digitally remastered. Well, it was at a time that, literally when we saw it and went, what just happened? I'm sitting there and I'm like, this is what madness feels like. I didn't know what to think. He's a scoundrel. This is a thing. It was so anti-hero spaghetti western. It was the thing.
It's what they would have done in Gunsmoke.
Yes, it's a cornerstone of who Han is. He is not the typical hero. He is a bad guy who does good things and has the heart of gold, but not the liver or the lungs. Yes, exactly. It's got bumper rails on it.
Yeah, the classic line: "What good's a reward if you're not around to spend it?"
Exactly.
Which I actually used to I used that quote talking to students who had fallen behind during the pandemic. because they were, they got sick or their family got sick. I'm like, well, what's the point of surviving high school if you don't, have a family to enjoy your post high school with?
Right.
It's okay. It's
Right.
okay. But and it's interesting because Lucas has come out yet again on it, and he has doubled, tripled down that if the technology had existed to do the effects he wanted, in 1976 when it was in production, he would have had what we saw in the remaster. That it was just too hard to do the effects, so they settled on Han shooting first.
Wow. That is one of those moments like the pistol in Indiana Jones that I'm so glad happened. I mean, for anybody who hears this and doesn't know, in Indiana Jones, Harrison Ford was so sick that he couldn't do the fight scene, and he said, "Can I just, draw my pistol and shoot the guy?" And they were like, "Yeah, let's try that." And they did it, and it was amazing. It is the Han shot first of Indiana Jones, as it were. And so, yeah, it was beautiful. And I'm now, because I never knew that. I never knew that he had come out and said if he had the tech, he would have done it that way. No way, never.
Well, and that's the thing. The remaster, and Aaron here brings it up too, is that idea that he rides in a stolen spaceship, scams everybody, and he's going to shoot second. Right. He's going to wait to see if this guy actually murders him or not before acting in self-defense. Yes. And it's interesting. I'm sure if you do some digging, you will find a full legal analysis as to whether or not Han had the right, based on what state you live in or where the essay was written, to use lethal force under those circumstances. Yeah. And from what a little I know about the law, at least in Michigan, yes, he was. He was legally justified. He had every reason to defend himself because bodily harm was imminent.
Yep.
So the walkie-talkies in place of Jedi swords. What's that a reference to? I know I should know that.
It's E.T. It's E.T. In E.T., they remade it where the FBI agents or whoever they were, the men in black, had walkie-talkies instead of their sidearms. When they digitally remastered it, they masked out the guns
and
that
put
the
in
bad
walkie-talkies
and put in walkie-talkies to make it more kid-friendly kind of thing.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I can, in some ways though, as much as I might not feel my family needs that, I can appreciate it to a degree. I know that my son and I, just to deviate off a little bit, did a comedy routine for his fourth grade talent show. No. Fifth grade talent show, his fifth grade talent show, and we did Who's On First.
Right.
But we reskinned it with the opening line of, well, if you're going to play with me and my friends on Overwatch, you're going to have to learn my friends' names. You see, who plays Reinhardt, what plays Diva, and I don't know plays Mercy. And we did the whole routine. I mean, we're right down to, well, I don't care who's playing what the guy's name is plays Mercy. No, what plays Diva. I don't care who plays Diva. No. Who plays Reinhardt? I'm not asking you. I don't know. No, he plays Mercy. We're not talking about him. We went whole hog, but the mistake we made was early on in the routine. We referenced this is Overwatch. It's a game where it's a competitive shooter game. Yeah. And the principal of the building called us that night and said, we need to talk about the talent show. I think it's great that you're doing a comedy routine with your son. It's very cute, but we have some concerns.
Right.
And it wasn't anything outside of don't mention guns or shooting.
Yeah.
And I thought, really? Okay.
And
okay.
And
not my school.
Not to show like the old man, but people. Hunting was so big when we were kids. I went to a AAA school, and November 15th, the opening day of deer season, was not a day. I mean, there was between 4,000 and 6,000 kids at this high school that we went to, and they literally gave us the day off because it's
your dad's taking you out of school anyways.
So
yeah, no, I'm totally down with that. It's also funny because I'm in the car driving a few years ago, and we've got the Lego Star Wars movie playing in the car,
nice.
and there's a scene where a bunch of stormtroopers are talking to Han, and Han just blasts them.
Yeah.
And C-3PO goes, "Well, that's interesting. Han shot first." And Han goes, "Well, of course I shot first. Why wouldn't I shoot first?" To which C-3PO goes, "Well, this is a point of mass debate and contention." And then he kind of waddles off the screen because he's Lego C-3PO, and I'm laughing. I almost crashed the car.
Yeah.
And the kids are like, "What's so funny, Dad?" I'm like, You have no idea how deep that particular well has been dug.
Yes.
There's a whole thing there.
All the Lego movies are amazing.
Oh yeah,
So,
the Lego Star Wars stuff is like primo. Speaking of October, I would get the Friday off from school so you could go hunting and parenting. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, depending on where you're from, the level of commitment to the opening of hunting season can be a real big thing. And Michigan in particular, in the U.S. where we're both from, that is definitely a thing.
Real quick, and then back to Star Wars. But Michigan and Texas are the only 2 states of the 50 states where you can hunt if you're legally blind. Just saying.
That's a little terrifying right there.
Yes.
But it's neat though, and the thing I think is really fun as we've got the Mandalorian, we've got the Boba Fett series coming, which they teased at the end of Mandalorian. It's going to be like the new. I think we're actually done with the Mandalorian as the show. I think they're
right.
All that creative juice is now going into the Boba Fett series,
right?
Which I am deeply excited for. But then we also have like Rogue One, which did really well, and I really liked Solo.
Yeah.
Because I thought it got a little back to some of the humor that made Episode 4 like not be so dire.
Yes.
And The Empire Strikes Back had some good moments in it. Return of the Jedi was pretty dry, relatively speaking. There wasn't quite
except for
Ewoks. Except for the Ewoks.
Yep. So
yeah.
I fight tooth and nail for Solo and Rogue One all the time. I have individuals who do not like Solo.
Yeah.
I think Solo is a fun Saturday afternoon eat popcorn, type movie. It would be something when we were kids, we would ride our bikes into town and catch a matinee. It is a matinee movie. When the trench scene, when Han's off to war and he's in the trenches, I mean, that is, again, goosebumps. I'm like, Star Wars /40K, Warhammer 40K crossover. There's these trenches and massive war machines and lasers, and yet you got to fight by hand because you got counter stuff to the lasers, and just fabulous, utterly fabulous. I love that scene.
Well, and it did, I think, what it set out to do, which is set up some of the reasons that Han is the way Han is.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe, and we could talk. The problem I think it bumped into a little bit more than Rogue One did, is it was fighting against 30 plus years of people's headcanons.
Yeah.
They had in their brain said, this is the road that led to this. And then someone said, well, yeah, but we're going to tell our own version of that story, and it's going to be the official version. And I think it was really hard for people to go in. And then I think the Mandalorian's been lucky. It hasn't had to fight that.
Right.
Because again, what's everyone's headcanon on a random Mandalorian mercenary?
Right.
The
people who care are the ones who like the Star Wars is a dark universe. I mean, it is a dark, horrible universe. It's not clean. It's not pretty.
No.
There are clean and pretty places, but the universe itself is not. Ewok is a delicacy. People eat other sentient races. This is not it is not Star Trek. It is Star Wars. Wars.
It's interesting. I had a chance at a panel in at Dragon Con one time. There was Jonathan Frakes, Gates McFadden, and Brent Spinner. And I was a little excited because I wanted to hear their take as actors who were deep into the culture on the difference between Star Trek, which is an incredibly optimistic view of the future, and a lot of what has come since. Because you look at Star Wars, which was about a contemporary, to be fair, and then you look at Battlestar Galactica, the reboot, which was huge at the time, are very gritty views of the science fiction worlds that are not.
Yeah,
everything will work. Technology will help free humanity as much as technology just keeps perpetuating the crap that humanity is going through. And what's interesting to me is all three of them just they hand waved it with a Star Trek's not that great. There's that whole Romulan war and the Borg. I'm not sure where you think this future is so great. And because it's a con and you asked your question, there was no opportunity for me to go, I'm sorry, you didn't really answer the question.
Yeah.
Now, do you have an opinion on, and I think that might have been their way of saying, we don't have opinions on big ticket items. We're just actors.
Right.
I know Brent Spinner was tired of being asked how he made the decision that Data would do certain things in different episodes. I mean, the number of times that poor man leaned into the microphone and went, because it was in the script that I didn't write.
Yeah, there's a great Saturday Night Live episode where William Shatner is on the show, and it's like he's in the panel like that, and the I can't remember who the actor was, but they're like, in episode 47, when you went to your safe, what was the combination of the safe? And Shatner, just comes out with some line like you just said, because it was in the script. It's that line of thinking, and to veer a little more Galaxy Quest, which is the pun movie of Star Trek, and stuff. So yeah, I just read the lines that are there. I'm an actor.
I don't know how to fly the ship. I just push the stuff.
Exactly.
And it's an interesting thought to go down this road more. We are going to probably back at our D&D roots for at least 4 more episodes after this.Maybe we'll keep making every 5th episode. We'll sneak in we're old nerds. Let's talk about this other thing. And I did say in chat, but we did not call it out. Azteki has joined the audience today. Azteki is one of my gamers from Sunday nights. And he's doing an amazing job of learning how to play a paladin the old-fashioned way. Like, here's a character sheet. Good luck.
Yeah.
And so it's a blast to do that game. Solo, I liked Solo. I think that the difference, though, still is we don't have that. We didn't know what to expect. And when you think about the prequel trilogy, there was a lot of heavy lifting done by fans about what came before Star Trek.
Yeah.
As to what came after, I don't think everyone's commitments were as heavy. Except for, and hello, Bad Wolf, except for the, quote, what Luke would do.
Right.
And I'm not going to lie. I'm going to go on this for a minute. Anyone who says that when Luke took the saber and chucked it over his shoulder and said, F this, I am done.
Yeah.
Has no idea what it's like to be a teacher. Has zero concept of what it's like to feel like you have failed students.
Yeah.
That people have entrusted you, they have come to you with an open heart, and you have totally blown it in your mind, whether you did or not. You have no concept of what that can do to you emotionally.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that in a negative way. I'm not saying to get down on anybody, but I can tell you, as someone who has watched people struggle to learn and thought this job is hard, it's emotionally draining, I felt every moment where Luke said, F it, I'm not taking any more students. And that was before we even knew what the backstory on it all was.
Right.
We just knew he's like, I'm done teaching people stuff.
Yep.
Like, I felt that so in my bones. And I was really anxious to see the second episode because I wanted to see where they were going to go with this.
Right.
You know, we've established that Luke is not on board. What happened to him?
You're right. I think one of the big disjointed pieces that I think they did a really good job in the Clone Wars series of explaining was how Anakin just was like, I mean, it so felt like just click, oh, I'm evil now. You know, and he just marched off to the dark side. There was an old Flash cartoon where it's Anakin and he's like, oh, I'm on the dark side now. I mean, I get to choke people with the Force and, you know, lightning. I get lightning. It's totally boss. You know, where you're just like, because that's what it felt like. It just felt like, oh, guess I'm evil now. And so, like I said, those movies were like 2 hours long, 2+ hours each. You couldn't have put a little more of the what was happening to Anakin in there, and you know, because I'm sorry, when Lucas came out and said, well, these are kids movies, yes, kids love galactic political intrigue. Yes, I've always thought that 8-year-olds are like, well, if only the Senate could get the votes together to pass, you know, to get past it came from the chamber of the House. And
you know, you're never too young to learn about congressional deadlock, okay?
Exactly.
In the America we live in, I think I like my 9-year-old understanding what it's like to have one person hold up, you know, all the ways that she can be better off in the world. I'm just going to put that out there.
Yeah, I get it. I understand.
Daddy,
currently.
where's my No, I'm not. Nope. Yeah. Nope. Gonna stop myself right
We're
now.
on drugs. Here, Lucas was tired.
Well, to be fair, there's a fun story I remember from the second or third or fifth anniversary special. Oh no, it was when they put Star Wars on television. They did an hour-long special beforehand, which we also recorded separately off the television onto VHS tape.
Yeah.
Which was great because I could watch Star Wars whenever I wanted at one point, as long as I fast forwarded through the commercials. But they did an hour-long special, and apparently, like, Mark Hamill was handed a form that said, what would you like from the merchandising department? And at the time, they were planning a poster, a T-shirt, and an LP of the soundtrack.
Yeah.
So he just wrote on the form, one of everything. And I think, you know, they're in the joke being that he has like one of everything, which means he has like warehouses, because under contract they have to send him one of everything, because that was his original contract from the New Hope, was you could have whatever you wanted from the merchandising department. So whereas I think Harrison Ford wrote down 2 T-shirts and an LP, that's what he got.
Yeah.
But there's a signed contract.
Oh my goodness.
But I think Lucas realized that part of the Star Wars franchise was selling toys.
Yeah.
And he did not want to bite that hand, so he tried to be true to his outline and at the same time figure out how to keep kids playing with the toys.
Right.
And how to get those toys into as many hands as he could get them into. I think on the flip side of that, with the sequel trilogy, they cared a lot less about the toys.
Yeah.
And my prop for I'll grab it.
Sure.
I think that's a big difference, is that trade-off. I have one prop in here.
Okay, I'll show toys. Well, you do that. I showed it early on, but I have a collection of TIE fighters. Oh, hey, A-Wing. Woo-hoo.
Okay, let me get back in.
Yep.
I was so geeked to get this for Christmas, because this is not a Revenge of the Return of the Jedi A-Wing. This is the Tally is the pilot, A-Wing.
Oh,
And to
nice.
see, for me as a father of a young of a father period, as well as a Star Wars fan and a father of a girl, to not just see a woman flying an A-Wing, but to see a woman in charge of a squadron. To see her in the leadership role. I mean, it was like, I was so pumped for that movie, knowing a little bit of that character backstory. And I'm like, all right, yeah, we're getting this. And then they blow her up. So, which I think I get where they were going. I think of all my disappointments, oddly enough, of Star Wars, the decision to be so total at the end of episode 8 was one of the ones I had a hard time with. That sense of like, here's some, like, I would love to see more of her character and the relationship she had with the other pilot, because there's a crap ton of story there. But it's like Rogue One. How do you tell that story without leaving on a, don't forget, she dies pointlessly?
Again, and I have said this too much. Rogue, my Star Wars top tier, blah blah blah. A New Hope is the first, because it is a fantasy story in space. You know, it's got space samurai and all that. Rogue One is my second favorite Star Wars movie, because it is basically Kurosawa's Seven Samurai with, in space, with laser guns and whatnot. Or the Magnificent Seven or whatever, it's beautifully done. It has all the amazing check boxes that are there. Those are my top 2 Star Wars movies of all time.
I think for me, I'm going to stay with A New Hope as a traditional, like, I got my teeth cut on Star Wars with that as my first entry point. And it's hard, it's hard not to hold it up as like the greatest of them. Plus, it's the one that I also think is really neat to see the ongoing, to see all the story elements that are so traditional. Like, I like the fact that I can talk to like my English teacher partners and remind them, you can cover the whole storyline of a good plot by just hitting the big points in Star Wars: A New Hope. It follows a very good template that makes for an epic tale. For number 2, there's a lot of places to go. The Force Awakens, I thought, was actually a really good Star Wars film. It followed a very similar rising, falling action. I'm not gonna lie, the last one I really kind of liked. And for me, the big part, I know everyone gets down on Rey for the way the last movie ends.
Right.
And I think what I took away from that, and this is why I personally like the ending of it all, is Skywalker has become a name that is synonymous with heroism. And in that moment, Rey does what she does to bring peace. She as best she can, she lays her mentor to rest. And then she makes a decision. I am going to be a hero from now on. And to me, there is nothing more profound than someone who takes that kind of an oath. I'm not born to be amazing. I'm not born to save. I am making a choice that from now on, I am a hero. And to me, that's really profound and powerful. And I think that's why we had that moment of the Force Ghost going, okay, yeah, you go do that, girl. We're cool with that. Which is why it's like, again, it's hard for me to pick, given that I really like that part of it. There were some parts I'm like, eh. But then again, too, the fan service of seeing Wedge, who somehow never dies.
Right.
Like, I don't know what planet he was born on, but I used to consider Wedge my favorite character
Yeah.
because
That's awesome.
he's always part of the big stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He never gets killed somehow. He never gets targeted. Like, at no point in any of the movies that he appears in does anyone say, get that X-Wing, get that snowspeeder. It's like, somehow no one notices him, yet he covered Luke's backside and saved it in A New Hope. He brought down the AT-AT in Empire Strikes Back. He was there to take out the power regulator in Return of the Jedi.
Yep.
He goes into retirement for a couple of years, and there he is manning the turret on the Millennium Falcon in the last movie. So it's like, dude.
So there's this movie called Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead. They're background characters in Macbeth, and it's a movie about Macbeth told from those two characters' point of view. That's what we need. That's what we need. We need the Wedge Antilles story where it's just this background thing, you know. My buddy Muddy, he always writes these just amazing. He loves Porkins, right? He loves Porkins, and so he writes all these beautiful little, interesting, intricate little snippets about, like, you know, Jack Porkins, and goes and he puts these diatribes out that are just so fantastic.
There's a guy who's in the Rebel Alliance cosplay group who does do, like, he does hospital visits as Porkins, and he gets both thank you cards and condolence cards.
Oh,
so some kids will send him cards saying, we're really sorry you blew up, you were a lot of fun to meet. I think he got one card that was addressed to Porkins' wife. Your husband is an amazing pilot. And it's like, but he looks the part. He looks like the actor who played the original Porkins. So he hams it up. He has a great time. And that's something else too. I guess kind of a shout out as we kind of wind down here. We're at 6:20, so we're about the end of our show.
Oh, wow.
I know. Hey, talking Star Wars, time goes fast. We both are, just like D&D, we're passionate about it. But I will do a shout out to the Imperial. That's the 501st Stormtrooper Brigade and the Rebel Alliance costuming / cosplay groups, depending on where you fall on the spectrum. They really don't judge either way, as long as you are at their standards for authenticity.
Right.
Which is like a reenacting group. You have to hit a certain benchmark. Everything has to be uniform. They do amazing work besides just being nerds who get together in costumes.
Yeah.
They get to participate in some ways, they get the fun of participating in big Star Wars events by being present and being in costume. But then there's so much charity work they do, where they will go into a hospital and they'll do just a visit around. They visit cancer wards. They've been to St. Jude several times. And for the families and the kids who just need that. Yes. Absolutely. You're not a member, are you?
No. But you know me. I love my bits and bobs. You know, some Vader action, and even a little Kylo rep here. You know.
Yeah, and that's just. I mean, I have so much respect for what they do as far as giving back to the communities they live in. It is not easy. I've tried a couple of times to be part of coordinating a visit. It is not easy to set up. Yeah. There's a lot of protocols that are involved, and they're good at it. So, you know, just a shout out to those people who do that volunteer work, who take the fandom and they do community service through it. That's just such a neat thing.
That is sweet.
So what have you got coming up this week?
This week we've got one of the last two episodes of our Masks campaign on Thursday night at 8:30 EST Eastern Standard Time over on Indoor Adventures channel. That's at 8:30, and then I'm back on Sunday morning with some Griftlands. That's variety streaming. That's on my channel, Gray Bear Tavern. And then back here next Tuesday to talk about whatever we decide to talk about then.
Sweet. Well, I think we're going to do our review of Van Richten's Guide.
Perfect. Okay.
So
Great.
I should have some time to study because I think my big drama for the week is going to. I think I'm ready for this week. I can start studying it and seeing what I get out of it. We'll see. But yeah, for me, tomorrow night is the continuation of the homebrew adventure for my Candlekeep group. It might be our last session for about a month because we are going to let Jessie have some time to move to Sweden.
Right.
And then start to figure out how her sleep schedule is going to let her keep playing. But she has sworn she intends to keep playing with us in perpetuity. So she's literally just going to say, I'm going to work a Wednesday, and then I'm going to take a nap, and then I'm going to get up at 2 a.m. and game with you guys, and then sleep in, and then work a Thursday.
Yeah.
So we're hoping that'll work out for her. And then Friday, Saturday, I'm probably going to be doing random game streams. I've got all kinds of things I'm debating because I need to tide me over for the release of Scarlet Nexus, which I had a chance to play, and it's awesome.
Nice.
So I'm really excited for that, but it doesn't release for a month. So I need to get there, and my plan of Mass Effect is just not going to carry me. So I might go, like I mentioned earlier, I might go back to my roots in Planet Coaster.
Yeah.
And play some of that, or I'll keep kind of poking around with other action RPGs. I downloaded this. I have never played the Star Wars one that just came out a couple years back. It's on Xbox. It's on Game Pass. I'm like, oh, maybe I'll get some miles with that and see if that scratches my itches.
Oh my God! Just Star Wars video games we could do an hour on.
Oh God!
All right, someday.
Yeah, so you push down on the button and push down on the joystick, and that fires the tow cable. Which I could never get to work. I don't know how people did. But, and then Sunday is I'm back to the Curse of Strahd, and my Ravenloft game is going to continue, and hopefully we will see a slightly better accent. No, that still sounds really French.
When I played in it, my character Stetchen, I just did German because I can do German. So he wasn't exactly from Barovia. He was his village had been absorbed by the Dreadland or Dreadlands, not Dreadlands.
Domain of Dread.
Domain of Dread. Thank you.
Yep. So that'll be Sunday night. I'm gonna keep working on my Slavic accent for poor Arabelle, who can't tell which way is up. And we'll get it to work. We'll get it. We'll get it eventually. At the very least, they know when it's Arabelle talking. So,
yes.
If you're listening to the podcast, we appreciate you with the download. One of the best things you can do for us besides downloading the show is leave a review on iTunes. It helps elevate the show in the standings, gives people an idea of what's out there. It makes discovery so much easier for everybody else. If you're listening on other platforms, if they have a rating system, just leave a review. We don't care if it's good or bad. We just appreciate any and all feedback for the podcast. Make sure you check us out. We post the show usually Thursday or Friday, so you can enjoy it with your weekend, and we appreciate it. Also, thank you again for allowing us in, and this is a proud part of the Inverse Genius Network. Until the next time we all get together, Graybeard, parting thought.
Watch more Star Wars,
and if you can, do it safely. Okay, so now we're back into stream mode because that's the end of the podcast. I gotta go eat. You gotta do stuff, but we're not completely done. Am I? Let's see. Is Jessie? Where's Jessie? Jessie's not on the stream today because she's gaming tomorrow night. You should brace yourself though because it's Mir's turn to be tortured by demons. So I'm just giving you the heads up now, man. Everybody else has gotten tortured by demons. She's not gonna get off without it.
I absolutely loved that segue where you were like, they're going to be tortured by their own demons. And I'm like, oh my God, their personal demons brought manifest. How beautiful.
Oh,
great thinking.
I'll tell you about it when we get off the stream. I don't want to spoil it for the audience, but I got to brag a little bit. I am of some Irish descent. It is not as large as you think it would be. In fact, the red hair is actually as much a part of my father's side, which has got no Irish. It has a lot of Eastern European. I don't know what country it is now, but it was at the time that they left Yugoslavia. But to be fair, that region has had a lot of change of ownership.
Yeah.
But there is a lot of Irish also on my mom's side. We did talk about The Mandalorian. So what you should probably do is pop yourself over there because that was our first question, was on The Mandalorian. We both had lots of opinions.
Yeah, it was a great start for it.
Yeah, it was perfect, actually. I couldn't ask for something better. Now, what should we do? I'm looking to see who I know that's currently on. That would be fun to hang out with. I think I haven't rated this guy in quite a while. Like as much as the old. I like it a lot. Both seasons were really good. I'm going to throw you guys over to Kraken Inferno. He's up and running. I think he's still playing Valhalla, which is a good time. And he has been an amazing supporter of new streamers. So I definitely love giving him some love and attention. So when you go over there, say hi on my behalf. I'm probably doing a raid and run because it's dinner time in the Noir home. Plus I gotta hang out with my co-host here for a few minutes. But tell him I said hi. He is just, I cannot say enough great things about this dude. He will shut down his game just to look at the camera and talk streaming tips.
Nice.
For like 15 minutes. Like, if you're new to streaming, here's what you need to know. Here's what I had to learn the hard way. Here are people you got to check out. They're doing a good job. He is just an amazing human being and a benefit to the community. So we're going to send you his way. The countdown is running. As I said, I'll be back here Wednesday night. We'll get to see what the tortures. And if you have not followed Graybeard or Indoor Adventurers, where you will find Graybeard, you should do that. Great streams. So, as we said, watch more Star Wars and do it safely.